I really want to start with a huge thank you to Hulu and IMAX for partnering up to do this episode tonight, because it's the one time that fans could be in a theater watching this on an IMAX screen. And to the audience that's here, thumbs up. What did you guys think?
Yay!
And I want to give you guys a huge thank you for doing the Q&A. But seriously, thank you, Hulu. I see you guys over there. Seriously, thank you. And IMAX, thank you. David, I want to start with you, and it's probably the most important question up front. How did you get your first, is the mic on?
I think so.
Yeah, I was gonna make. Oh, it is. Okay, I just wanted to test it before.
Testing.
Testing.
We're
1,
good.
2, 3.
If I'm not mistaken, your first writing credit was on The Golden Girls.
That is right. Yes.
How
Wow.
was that your first writing credit was The Golden Girls?
I'm old.
I mean, that's kind of my takeaway too. To be honest,
No, but
that's actually really cool. I'm like working with a legend.
I was going to say.
That you didn't even know.
No,
No, you keep it closer.
Okay, thank you.
I like so many people who struggle to get into the business. I was struggling to get into the business, and somebody submitted my scripts to that show, and they hired me. I'm making it sound much easier than it actually was.
I was going to say
It was really difficult, but I got hired I had a partner at the time, and we worked there for a couple of years, and then we got fired. So it's a real great Hollywood story.
Well, I'm just curious. For people that don't realize, when did you actually start filming this season?
The season or this episode?
Oh,
Because it's very interesting. This episode was shot no, we didn't do 1 first. We did 3 first. But when we shot 1, it was still in the same year that we were doing 3. But then we finished 1 at the end of the season, which was not quite a year ago. So in between that time, just to piggyback on what Annie said, is that the kids got taller. My son is taller than Seth. And I don't know if those of you who were watching from the very beginning, I used to carry both of them on my back, and I pride myself in I can carry them. Just let me carry them. That's what a mother does. OMG. They are so big, So it was a challenge. I'm not going to lie.
We do film out of order, but I will say that the 2 scenes that you guys saw tonight, my first scene with Isaac and my scene that I'm arguing with Ed, were my 2 first scenes I had on my first day of set.
Wow.
That was my first day.
Wow. Didn't you redo one of them?
I did redo one of the scenes, but it wasn't my first day on set.
Oh,
The first day on set you guys watched tonight. So we do film out of order, but I will, this episode in general, my 2 big scenes were definitely filmed like my first day. But yes, everything is out of order. So I understand what you're saying. There were still things from episode 1 that we needed to film at the very end of filming after quarantine.
so I'm curious, David, if I'm not mistaken, you started filming this in 2019. And
That sounds right. I don't remember.
Maybe September? Was it September?
No, it was October. No, it was well, we started fitting, but it was after Seth's birthday, so it was November.
It was in November.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
November.
That's right.
Because then we had the Christmas party.
Yeah.
so you shot for, I believe, and I'm guessing here, but you shot for 4 or 5 months.
That's about right. Yeah.
And then COVID happens.
Right.
And then you obviously come back and you finish filming. How much were the episodes that you shot pre-COVID adjusted, overall, because of the hiatus of COVID? Did you guys go in and tweak scripts?
No, actually, that was the starting with Seth on down. Seth said he wants to do the same show we would do whether it was COVID or not. So we made no adjustments. These are exactly this season of episodes is exactly what we wrote with the intent of shooting without COVID. The only thing that happened that was sad was there was one episode that we couldn't shoot.
Right.
And I don't want to say why. We just couldn't do it under the safety protocols of COVID. So Seth wrote it as a novella, which is going to be released because he's got so much free time. Decided to write it, and it's an amazing story, and it's very sad that we didn't get to shoot it. But otherwise, these episodes they're exactly what we would have done if COVID hadn't happened. The problem was that's why it took so long, because the COVID restriction slows things down. You've got to be careful. You have to make sure no one's going to get sick.
Yeah.
And
It was double the time.
yeah.
Truly, I was the first one back after COVID, and you guys worked my butt to death, and I loved it. But it was scary. It was
Yeah.
scary because everyone was masked up, and they had this looked like helmets, but they were these visors, and no one could get near people, and so they came toward you, and then they had to step away, and you thought, oh my gosh, we really have to work in these conditions, but we really had to work in those conditions, because personally, I love the heck out of the Orville, and I was just excited to get it done.
I was going to say the scripts did get released way before quarantine, because the first 2 weeks of quarantine, I was so bored. I memorized all of my lines for the entire show. And by week 3, I was like, okay, so how long is this going to last? Like, I got everything done, and now I just have nothing to do. And going back, I was like, yeah, I've been looking at this material, the same lines, for probably, I don't know, 3 years. I'm really well prepared for this.
I never looked at the script.
I know, you were really, she
Man,
was
they
funny
got
about
ticked
that.
off at me.
Only when we were filming the episode that you were doing, you would read the script, right?
Yeah, because I'd need to know what's going on. But why would I someone asked me this when we were doing the virtual junket a week or so ago. Why would I put Claire in my body and my mind when I'm sitting at home with Graylin and my dog
Her husband.
Chester, and I just want to be Penny? Because Penny's pretty cool.
You can let it go.
And I just wanted to be Penny. I didn't want the scripts in my head at all.
Well, we have different actors that have different processes. Clearly. Okay.
For all three of you, there's a lot of fans who are watching this right now. For the three of you, what do you think a fan of the Orville would be surprised to learn about the actual making of the show behind the scenes?
I think about Unc, because the days that I worked with Unc was, a lot of things are CGI, but Unc actually had that massive costume, and the guy under there was sweating so massively the whole time, and I just felt really bad for him. And that to me was the funniest
I
behind the
think
scene.
No, I
thing.
think you're actually right about that. I think that kudos, you would be surprised that anyone who wears the prosthetics, they should get a standing ovation every time they even just grace the screen, because the prep time for them is hours before we come in.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to sit in that chair and they have to have it taken off before they go home. Right. So I would say would be surprised about that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I did Star Trek before I did Deep Space Nine. I did The Next Generation. Was it Next Generation? I think I did one of those. Anyway, I had a nose that they had to put on me. And my call time was 3:30 in the morning for a 7:30 call. And when I finished that, I vowed I would never do a show where they have to put anything on me. Mm. So I give kudos to
And a
all those
7:30
people.
call, by the way, means probably a wrap time around, at the earliest, 8 or 8:30, 9, 10. And then they have to go and take it
2
off.
hours.
You can't just take it off. So that's an extra 2 hours. So yeah, you're right. Giving props to them.
So you're trying to say that making a TV show is not glamorous?
No, you should see our green room where we hang out. It's very not glamorous.
David, I'm curious. Did you have an answer for what might surprise people?
I think people would be surprised how quiet Penny is on set. No.
OMG. Okay.
I'm just kidding. She's
I am the loudest one.
She's actually exactly
I don't
like this.
care.
I think that this season, people would be shocked at that, because of COVID. Finishing the episodes happened like you were shooting a movie. So you would do a scene from episode 6, and then 5 minutes later you're doing a scene from episode 4, and then in episode 10, and the checkerboarding of the schedule was mind-boggling, and you would be surprised because these actors give you no clue. They're in the moment of each episode when you're shooting the scene from that episode. So I think that would be the big surprise, I think.
Other than Penny losing a lot of weight during the thing.
One of the things, because this season is airing on Hulu and not Fox, the episode that everyone watched tonight is, I think it was an hour and 10 minutes. I know that you are not able to talk spoilers for the rest of the season, but are the rest of the episodes of the season like an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 15? Are they all longer than what was airing?
That was one of the reasons Seth wanted to move it to streaming, was he wanted sort of the freedom to tell the story at whatever length they needed to be told. So there are some episodes that are close to an hour and a half. All the episodes are longer than they would have been on Fox, but they all vary, and it really just came out of this is the story we're telling, or these are the stories we're telling. We want to get them to the natural conclusion, which is always the intent we've always had on Orville, but we've always limited, and you've got to cut this, you've got to cut that. On Hulu, we didn't have to, so there's a variety of lengths.
I would like to give a spoiler. They can fire me. I think that you guys are going to be excited because they are mini movies, but I think you're going to be disappointed that it really is just too much of clever genius to binge watch. I've seen two of them, and I could not watch them back to back. And it's good. It's good that way because you do need the time to digest. You need the time to listen to what is being presented. I think that the movies that you are about to see are going to be movies that are going to stir conversation. You're going to want to talk to each other. You can talk to me. Hit me up on Twitter because you know I can talk, and I will talk back to you. But
Hit me up on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter, really.
But I do think that you will thoroughly enjoy it. So if that's a spoiler, sue me. But
that's
truly,
not a spoiler.
you're not
okay.
going to be able to binge watch. I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, I can't wait to get all of them. I think you really want to cuddle up or hurdle, whatever it is you do, and enjoy them as movies.
David, I'm curious, were there any scripts that you had done or you guys had worked on for the first two seasons that you felt, okay, we can't do this in 48 minutes, so we're not going to do this episode? Like, did you have any that happened to be saved for this season because you had more time?
No, I think, no, they were all everything we developed with the sort of the consciousness of what's come before. So even though the show isn't serialized, we do like fans to feel like they're getting their due. That if you watch this show, there's going to be things in these episodes for people who pay attention. So no, there wasn't. I think we had one script from season 2, but we decided to hold it over. And I don't want to ruin anything, but it wasn't quite so much for we couldn't have done it in season 2, but we're doing it in season 3, and it's a killer episode.
Wasn't that the same for season 1? I remember a script that was presented
That's
to
right.
me
That's
that
right. Yeah.
we didn't get to do.
Right. It
Spoiler.
wasn't- Right.
But in season 3, you'll get a little taste of what they were holding back for that one in season 1. I think so. Yeah, I know. So I was playing that role.
I don't.
I think so.
For people that are filming right now, do me a favor and don't post what I'm about to ask because it's from this episode. Little, spoiler, if you will. I'm curious for all three of you, and this is like a personal question. Do you think that Isaac should have been reinstated, or do you think he shouldn't have been reinstated?
That's a tough question. I was so into my character, it's hard for me to even think outside of it. Looking back and the journey that you're going to maybe see Charlie go on, I feel like I have a different point of view. Obviously, I think he's very valuable to the ship, and I love Isaac. So
Is that as a character or?
I mean,
as a-
I'm
as
just
a
so
fan?
in. I just
fan.
was so into it. Yeah, as a fan, I would definitely want him reinstated. He's definitely needed on our ship in multiple ways.
As a fan, I would watch this for lessons or things that would change my life. And we all have an Isaac in our lives. And I think that people should have second chances. So as a fan, I would be interested in saying, how is that second chance journeyed? And what are the benefits and what are the disadvantages of that? Because that's what we do in life. You know, you have somebody that drops out of your life, you know, for a season and a reason, and maybe they come back and maybe they don't. So, but personally, I like giving second chances, so I would like to see them come back.
David?
I think we're in a time, just being serious now, where people are not talking to each other and people are doing bad things to each other. And if we don't find a way to find acceptance, which to me is one of the greatest themes about this show is at its core about acceptance. That I think, yes, you have to try to accept. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Penny, I'm curious, what was your reaction when you found out that that your character was going to have a love affair or fall in love with a robot?
Let's get past that green blob first. You know, I said to Seth, actually, I said this. I said, is there anybody that Claire is not going to have an affair with? I mean, she's seen everyone in their nakedness, psychologically, physically. And the answer is Claire is open-minded. So Claire is open-minded, but Penny was thinking, what the, really? I mean, really? Get me Avery Brooks up in here, okay? Come on. But hey, I am so humbled that he being Seth, has allowed me to express myself in those different ways. I would be known as a cougar, being the oldest one in the group, and cougars have fun. So hey.
I know you can't do spoilers for the upcoming 9 episodes that people have not seen. However, I am curious if you have a favorite episode of the upcoming 9 that you cannot wait for fans to see. You could say episode 4 or episode 8, or you know what I mean?
Oh God, I gotta do the happy dance. Oh God, there are so many. There's so many. There's not one.
I like the first and the last episode a lot, and then also the episode 7 that David wrote. That one's really complex and has a lot of different storylines, and I think it's really, really, really interesting.
It's all of them.
I mean, they're all really good.
they're
I mean,
so
we're not gonna
good.
sit here and
Right, we're not going to
but
pick favorites, but my favorite,
the one that I wrote.
It's the one you wrote.
episode 4. I mean, it's the beginning of.
And what's that about?
I'm not going to say a word.
Yeah, see, right? We're
But
like, which one is
I
that?
think you'll see in episode 4 where this season's going, the levels that you already see it in the first 3, and then in episode 4, and it's up from there. Like I think that we don't stop. The episodes in the big episodes in season 2, the Kalon 2-parter would just be considered average episodes in season 3, and the scope, the movie making. It's just stunning. And again, all the episodes are terrific. There's some stuff in episode 4 that I'm particularly proud of.
Is that a result of, and obviously I'm not sure what you can say, but going to
I said everything I'm going to say.
Going to Hulu, did that change? How did going to Hulu change the writer's room in terms of possibly writing things that now maybe you had a little more money to do, or you had more VFX, or did that factor in at all?
It really did just start with Seth, and Seth saying, okay, this is the show we're doing, and we're going to do it right. So he's an 800-pound gorilla, and he has a lot of support from Hulu and the studio to get it done. And we got it done. It's pretty phenomenal season.
You know, growing up, your parents would throw you in the backyard and give you some sticks and some stones, and you'd make something out of those sticks and stones. You didn't have to have a board game or anything like that. Well, Seth MacFarlane is thrown into a toy store, and he is a big kid. And now Hulu is the store owner, and he goes in there to get a toy, and he can have all the toys available. And you guys will see all the toys that he's been able to just gather, and it will be depicted in a major way. What did you think about the special effects up there? That ain't nothing. This is the beginning. Being with Hulu is godsend. I've said this before, because y'all know I was kind of pissed when we went to Hulu, because it's like, oh, we're bouncing up and down and another, but I get it. And you will too. I mean, you were able to see, we would never have been able to give you this magnitude on, any regular network television. But it gets, as my pastor would say, it gets gooder and gooder. It truly does.
David, I know you're a huge Star Trek fan. And I wanted to know, and I know you're a big fan of the original series, but when did you decide The Next Generation was the best Star Trek?
Don't answer that. You know it was Deep Space Nine.
I'm totally...
I'm not answering that question.
Right. I'm joking around because I don't think he's going to actually fall for that.
No, not.
Right. So you go with the first one being, you go with the original series being the best.
I love all Star Trek. I'm just a diehard fan. I watch it all. It's not, sometimes some I like better than others, but all of them have great episodes and all of them have stinkers, and that's television.
And your best one is?
Oh yeah. What was the one you were on?
Deep Space Nine, right? Okay.
Annie, I'm curious. So how did you get this role, and what has it been like for you? Because you obviously got cast in 2019, and you're a big part of this series now, and you are then waiting 3 years for it to come out.
I mean, yeah, the pandemic, obviously no one could have predicted. So that would have happened with really any show, whether it was this or something else. Like I said, the outfits was a little bit of a throw off for me. But yeah, getting the role, look, as an actor, you go out on a million auditions, you get told no a million times, and then you get told a yes. It just so happened I've been out for the casting director, Sheila Jaffe, a bunch of times, and I really loved this character. It was something really interesting and new that I've never done before, and that's kind of what I search for. Just as an actor, I want to show as much versatile acting ability that I can, and I was like, I want to be thrown into this completely new universe of a different just world that I've never dived into. So I thought it was really interesting. Auditioned, had a meeting, and booked it.
Do you guys end up with a lot of deleted scenes on the show? Are there a lot of things that have been shot that fans have still never seen?
I've never seen anything on the floor because I remember all the scenes that I've done. They're
a lot like clippings.
Yeah.
Never really full scenes. Little clips out of scenes, bits of dialogue. There was a scene which I think we showed of Bortus and Clyde in golf outfits. I don't know. I feel like that showed up somewhere. It didn't. You don't remember seeing it? You saw it online, right? Yeah. So like that was, I think, the only thing a couple of scenes like that, but very, very little. It's usually little snippets of things.
Do you guys find in the writer's room that certain characters are? Do you get the vibe that certain characters are easy to write for, or is it sort of certain people have that voice on certain characters? What is it like actually, in the writing process?
Well, you have talented actors, and so you write something with a character in mind, and then the actor brings so much, brings it to life, that then you start writing to the things that you've enjoyed watching those actors do. And that happens a lot on the show, where you watch you watch an actor do something, and it's like, oh, we want more of that. Let's change this. Let's add that. So it starts with defining the character on the page, but then working and collaborating with that actor so that the person lives, so that it's not just some two-dimensional character on a page, but that you feel like they're real people.
Isn't it also scoring? Because I always find that when we're at a table read and I'm listening to it, that Seth has this ability to hear voices, being a voiceover actor, and I think that he has meticulously cast everyone so that the sound of the voice and the vernacular of the voice,
true.
that there's a musicality. If you would just close your eyes and listen to the Orville, and that's why the music is so great too. Everything is is complementary. So I think that's a conscious choice, because one day that we were casting like I'm doing that. They were casting the Mocklins, and in the table read, I said, "Oh, are the Mocklins the black people?" I just asked it because I'll just ask anything. And Seth looked at me. He says, "Oh no, Penny." I said, "Well then, why is it that all these people are black and they're the Mocklins?" He said, "The voice. They came in and they had a certain voice, a certain bass in the voice, and that's what I'm casting. I'm casting the sincerity and the gift of the voice." So I think, again, it's a musicality of all of our voices together, which is, I think it's a gift.
I'm just curious, do we have that ball to give to the fans? Or to the audience?
What is it?
It's the IMAX ball, which allows people to ask questions, which can be
that's
recorded.
lovely.
It's actually it's a square.
But it's the
It's a box.
the IMAX
Not a ball. It's a box.
So, does someone want to ask a question? And is that on?
Is it styrofoam?
Oh, do you want to go down there or just hand?
That is so cool. I want one.
Does it?
Yeah, it works. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No.
Let's
Hey
go.
guys, thanks for coming, because really appreciate to see this on the big screen. I'm sure all of you can answer this. It's kind of tricky territory, but I want to ask David specifically too. Obviously Seth loves Star Trek. You love Star Trek. And obviously you guys talked about now with Hulu, you're able to do longer storytelling. You're able to basically make movies and more action. Because you see it going that way, has Seth ever talked about maybe we'll do the Orville, the motion picture, do this theatrically, bring it back to TV? Maybe there are stories that we can tell on a grander scale, exploring farther out in the universe. Do you think we'll ever see a theatrical kind of entertainment with the show?
I mean, I think you're going to see some theatrical entertainment this season, but I think he's open to all of it, and that's about whether the fans show up.
Yeah.
I mean that.
Yeah.
I don't think he would close off that possibility right now, though.
Right.
The stuff you're going to see
Absolutely.
is on the level of any.
Yeah.
One of our episodes had more special effects in it than
Right.
Force Awakens. I
Because
mean,
you watch
it was,
this and you're like, you got to see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, hell yeah.
That is, I guess, one of the downsides. But the upside is you can watch it 10 times in a week without
Exactly.
going to the theater. So.
I think I personally cannot wait to see the episode that's an hour and a half.
Yes.
Do you want to pass it up there? You can throw it, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah, that is the coolest.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
I love this.
I don't want to break an IMAX.
it's meant to be thrown. We do this all the time.
As a psychologist and on the heels of Mental Health Month, just first off, I really appreciate the complexity and nuance that you all approached trauma, grief, suicide with. And one of the things I've loved since we've talked about Star Trek and the Orville in the past, and Penny, I think you were talking about really being able to process and think through some of the future episodes, are really those moral and ethical dilemmas. My wife commented, like, was this good enough moral and ethical dilemma for you in this episode? I'm curious, in moving forward from the writing room, producing, acting, are there any of these challenges and nuances that were difficult for you personally to be able to put forward?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The one that you saw. actually came on the heels, in between shooting it, of a huge tragedy in my family. And it was difficult. There was a scene that you saw tonight that we weren't going to do, and then Seth said, oh, Penny, just do it. I'm only going to do one take, and it's going to be a oneer. I'll just have the camera move around. And I said, okay, Seth. He said, hey, just give me what you got. And I said, okay, I'll do my thing. 50 takes later, you know, and that's the scene when Claire breaks down. And the tragedy that my family had gone through, it was just so raw and just there. I could have done it 1,000 times. I didn't wanna, but it was emotionally exhausting. And usually, I'm never exhausted emotionally because I just do this thing. I love it. It's my passion. But that particular scene was very difficult for me.
I mean, I'm not going to say a personal experience, but I will say just as an actor in general, just working on really any set, having to do any emotional scene, there are things that are happening in your life, and it doesn't matter what it is. You have to still go that day and perform that scene. So if it is something emotional and you're having to break down and something just happened in your life, then, you know, you have to kind of bring that and let it shine. And that's honestly, I mean, you see it. You see that pain or you see that hurt on screen, and I think it really shows whether or not it's from something that's happening in your life or on camera. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm not going to attest to something that happened to me on this show, but just in general, as an actor, you have to kind of do that, even regardless of what's happening in your personal life, and it is challenging.
And again, I was interested in watching you in this. You're so angry, and you don't strike me as someone who's an angry person. Is there somebody you're like in your mind modeling, or is it, or what, or are you just connecting to actual anger?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, my dad, Jesus. No, I don't know. That was kind of a tough thing to do, was kind of find some sort of person in there that has like a vulnerable sense and that has a human to her, and also be very angry at somebody, which I'm not used to. But that's, again, as an actor, I'm not an actor that has maybe certain personal experiences that I like think about, but I just try to really put myself in the situation and think about the fact that, you know, in my mind, this Kalon species killed my best friend. If I thought of anybody outside of the Kalon or outside of this world that killed my best friend, I would I could see how she would hate them. So that's kind of where I draw it. I just think about it in like another world.
That's a really good question. But can I answer it as an actor and as a person who teaches the stuff? Anger is just love.
It's hurt too.
It's the same passion and the emotion that you give for love. So you don't have to experience anger to play anger. You have to know about passion and what something means. Just like you were saying, you know, you take the subject at hand. Mm-hmm. And your question of, it's not that I wanted to recreate what was there. I want to be clear on that, because, you know, those are called private moments and things like that in the whole acting world. It's because it had happened. And in the acting world, you actually use what you have. And that was forever present. I could have been doing a love scene, but that didn't take away from the fact of what had happened. So if I was doing a love scene, you would have seen some kind of passion in that, and then you'd ask me, and I go, I had a tragedy in my family. It would be the same thing.
It's accepting and allowing what's going on in your personal life and using it kind of in terms with the scene that you're doing. That's what I do. Accept and allow what's going on in your personal life. Use it in the scene and see what comes out of it with the context of what you're doing in the scene. I mean, look, if I was called onto a set and I was a heroin addict, I'm not going to go and be like, oh, I need to really really see how this feels today. You know what I mean? So you have to still be able to draw from things that aren't necessarily
That was
ever
my
happened.
first
or-
acting role.
I would love to play that, but I'm just saying you don't need to experience the things that you're portraying. There's other, like you said, anger is love or it's hate. There's other emotions and things that can be portrayed from different emotions you have in your personal life.
So I have some good news and I have some bad news, and I'm just going to throw it out there. The bad news is we need to stop recording the Q&A because of the theater. Like we have to end the Q&A. However, the good news, the talented people to my left have offered to meet people and take pictures and other things outside the theater. So if that's okay, we'll stop the Q&A so people can maybe take some pictures.
We talked so much.
And stuff.
That's what
Is
you're
this
saying.
okay? I thought
We're
that
actors. We talk.
Right, no,
We talk.
We could have had more questions. Sorry for our long answer.
No, I mean, I think, well, here's the thing, like, there's a choice. Like, we could either, and just being honest, we can keep on doing questions, but then there won't be any pictures or anything, and I think that a lot of people would rather take a picture and that kind of a thing.
Let's split the difference. Let's take one last question. If someone is
Well,
dying
where's
to
the
ask
ball?
a question.
We need to know. We need the IMAX ball. Does someone have a question that? I know there's some kids in the audience.
We want you to
Everyone's
go
like, no,
home
we want pictures.
satisfied.
Oh, we got a question.
There's a
Right over
question
here. Right. Oh, there we go.
I love all the pins on your
Good
jacket.
job.
Thank you. Hi. Ooh, that's loud. Okay, so when filming, like post like brand new COVID guidelines, but ignoring that, what's one of the most difficult things you as like a cast have had to deal with in regards to like the longevity of each episode, especially since you're doing 10 of these? What's the most difficult thing you guys have had to like experience within that process?
Filming it all out of order and just trying to remember. Like there's days that we have just being on the bridge, just being in the, the space shuttle, and we'll do like 5 different episodes. That was kind of difficult to know like where you were coming from, where you're going, and those kind of things. But I would say that's was my biggest thing.
This season, the biggest thing was working around Jessica's pregnancy.
Oh yes, that was difficult too.
And when she came back, me being, very maternal, wanting to make sure she was safe and we weren't overworking her, which we did because we had to, because we waited for her. But I think that was the biggest thing, because with a cast like the Orville, we don't like each other. We freaking love each other, and we get all in each other's business, and so we're protective of each other. So we're looking out for each other. I know I'm looking out for the kids. I go like, oh, don't use that language in front of those boys. Don't do that. And we're all looking out for each other. Like, oh, let her do it again. So we talk a lot, as you know, because listen to us now. But
the Orville
we're protective.
reality show coming soon.
Yeah, I think we're overprotective, and that's the hardest thing that we have to just overcome, and that we get to work. But we are about the work.
Just real quick, I'm going to have our talented guests go outside first. But before they do, I really want to say a sincere thank you to all of you for coming out tonight. Thank you to Hulu for doing this. Thank you to IMAX. And thank you to our brilliant camera team and everyone for making this happen tonight. Thank you. For real.